What's going on, Cancer? I salute the divinity in you, and welcome to the Chariot Friends. Justin here, and how you feeling? The moon is in Cancer. She's feeling great. She's feeling something. You know, there's a lot of energy that's going on in the cosmos right now. We got a lot of water energy right now that we're kind of feeling through, and I think that this is going to be these next couple days while the moon is in Cancer is really going to be important to kind of feel through what's going on here. I think that there's going to be a calling here, an intuitive nudge, some sort of like inspiration that may coming through here. There's a lot of flow that's happening right now. So, and yeah, it's interesting. Your general energies have got some interesting themes. So we're gonna get into all that here in a moment. But if you're new here, again, my name is Justin, and know that when you're coming across this video, you're in sync with the moon, and she loves that. But this is also a place for you if you happen to have Cancer in your placements, sun, moon, rising, wherever. This one's for you. Or if you just want to sync up with the moon, we all can benefit from that. So you're definitely welcome here. You know, with Cancerians, we welcome all here. And I do tarot card spreads based off that lovely luminary, the good old moon. And I'll talk about what sign she's in, what phase she's in, and when she's going to void. Of course, it's all them lunar shenanigans. And just so you're all aware, this is a general reading, not a one-to-one. So take what fits into your story, discard the rest, and everything will be dope, Cancer. Now, let's jump into it, because yeah, this is a very interesting energy that I think we're getting into, that we're, yeah, I think there's a lot underneath the surface here, and I got a whole chart for you and everything. But before we jump into that, depending on when you're watching this, happy Jupiter Day. Jupiter is associated with Thursdays, and I find that Jupiter days are really great for expanding oneself, getting outside of your comfort zone, expanding your worldview. When we talk about with Jupiter, this could be learning about a different culture, reading a different genre maybe you've never explored before, maybe even a type of music you've never listened to, a type of food. Those are just really easy ones to do with Jupiter. But I find that there is, like, I think a need for an appreciation for, like, we should do that every day. But I think that Jupiter days in particular can be one where you can find a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of joy for life, and even pay attention during like Jupiter hours to maybe take those hours to find something that you're thankful for, and see how that just kind of expands your vessel some. I think that's something to pay attention to there. But this could be a day too where you can share a lot of your wisdom that goes through there. I think Jupiter is a great sage, and so yeah, but anything where you're learning or you're sharing some sort of information, or anything where you're maybe even needing to bring just a little more oomph to the energy. Jupiter, I think, can be a very great support for you there. But another thing that I like doing when I'm working with like these kind of planetary days is thinking about what's my relationship with Jupiter. Where do I have Jupiter natally is a great start. Like, what house is it in? What sign is it in? How do I understand that energy? How do I understand Jupiter transits and maybe even planets when they form aspects to my natal Jupiter? How do I experience that? That can be some great information there. And like, as far as like too, like, you know, when I'm setting different intentions with Jupiter, I actually got a Jupiter coming up on a Jupiter sextile here in a couple of days there, and I've been thinking about a lot of things here. Well, when this is, well, depending on when you're watching this here, this is like it'll be here in like a couple of days. But yeah, those are just some things I like to think about when we're working with Big Papa. But we're working with the moon right now, so let's get into the lunar shenanigans. Because on the 3rd of April, the moon is going to enter into Cancer at about 3:51 p.m., and that's going to be Pacific time. And we'll talk about the first quarter moon here in a moment. That's going to happen the following day on Venus Day. But when we talk about just the Cancerian energy, the Cancer is ruled by the moon. So this is where the moon is domicile at. And when a planet is domicile, it's just that this is the area that they're most comfortable working in Cancer. And Cancer is the mutable water sign. It's receptive, or yin in nature. And so there is a very intuitive side to Cancer, very psychic energy dealing with that water. And it's where, you know, the initiator of feelings, that cardinal energy, Cancer has this deep sensitivity to the cycles and to the tides, and can really, you know, talk to your Cancer friends can feel out a room. boom, can really sense when there's something off, when you're not in your normal rhythm there. And it's just like, oh, whoa, what's going on here? And then you think about the imagery of the crab just always dancing with the tide, never too far in the water, but never too far on the land. And so there is that intimate, again, that waxing and waning that comes through with Cancer. And I find that when the moon is here, this is a great time for really, again, for going within, for sensing what is going on with you. Have there been some things that have been off? It's, in your, that's been throwing your flow off here. Because, again, the moon is very sensitive here. And, let's talk about let's get into the first quarter phase here, because I got a chart for you there. Let's transfer over here. Let me switch over to get my handy dandy jar. Because when we're talking about the first quarter, this is going to happen on a Venus day. And this is happening on the 4th of April. And it happens at about 7:15 p.m. And this is happening at 15 degrees and 33 minutes. I'm just going to go ahead and circle all these little points here. You have the sun in Aries and the moon is in Cancer. Now, when you think about this, the first quarter, this is when the planets are squared one another, as you can see here. So it's a bit of a tense aspect there. There's a call to action, especially in the first quarter phase. This is like a waxing square. And so there's a call for some action, the need to, whatever you've been thinking about starting up for this lunar cycle, this is the time to move, to really make a move on it, to really kind of get some momentum on whatever that thing is looking like for you. So as the energy carries on into it gets into the gibbous, then things really start flowing, because we'll start getting into the trine, opportunities start going in. So this is a great time to be, if you've been meditating on something, go for it, especially too considering that the sun is exalted right now in Aries and the moon is in Cancer in her domicile. So this is a really supportive square, I think, for us to not only be in that exalted state to elevate, but to get comfortable in that exaltation. Let that kind of really sit in there too. But if you notice here, I was mentioning about kind of really feeling this thing out here, because we have all these planets in water. We got Cancer that's lit up here with Mars and the moon being here. And then we also have this Pisces party that has Saturn and then Venus and Mercury that are both retrograde and Saturn's direct. But Venus is coming up on a conjunction with Saturn. Mars is just separating from a trine with Saturn, or even the sun. The sun's coming up on a sextile with Jupiter. So there's a lot of energy that's going through here right now, even just by whole sign. If we weren't working with just like the degrees there, this is a hot pocket to do something with this thing here. And to give you an example, because if this lunation, I have a perfect example of this is working very closely with you. You want to pay attention if you have any sort of like cardinal placements, so that's Cancer, Aries, Capricorn, and Libra. But this lunation is working very personally with me, so I'll give you a real world example here. This is where this square is happening is about 19 minutes away from my sun placement. So the moon is conjunct my sun, it's applying there, and then the sun is squaring my natal sun. And even Jupiter separating from about a degree from both my sun and my Jupiter placement. So there's a lot I've been thinking about. So the themes that are lit up for me, just to give you what things you may be feeling through. And this is just a rough example. So this is activating my 12th house, which is like isolation, sufferings, chronic illnesses, things like that. My 11th house, my future, dreams, patrons, friends, aspirations. My 9th house, which is my beliefs, spirituality, higher knowledge, things like that. Foreign cultures, things like that. And then the 8th house, which is like my shared resources, death, mortality, inheritances, debts, things along those lines. So I've been thinking about, as far as just like I've been really in like my beliefs as of late. That's that 9th house thing. I've been thinking about not just why I'm doing this. Of course, I'm wanting to expand myself spiritually, but then when we think about 8th house, it's like, okay, but what does that all mean? How do I solidify that and share that with other people so that there's that there's so I have something that I'm passing along. How would what does that look like? Is this enough? Is this or can I do more for my future? There's my 11th house, that Jupiter coming in. Is there something that I could do more for this future? And then now we're getting into the moon and Mars in my 12th house, because I want to help people go through all these energies that we're going through right now, because it's helped me do so much and do a lot of healing work and all my things. But then it also brings into, am I, how is my work going? Am I doing this proper work? Is this something that, and maybe just making sure how I'm coming energetically. So you see, there's this, and that's just like just one aspect of many things that this all these transits are lighting up right now for you. So just to bring it back home here, this is a time to really. I know there's not a lot of earth in the charts right now, so if you can do things to help you feel grounded so you can feel through this thing and make the most out of this, because I've been, of course, with all these things that I'm thinking about, I'm not just standing there just kind of like paralyzed. Like we're taking actions, we're trusting intuitive nudges, like, okay, try this thing, try that thing, let's work on this thing first, okay, good thing that you're thinking about that, because you're going to have to do this in order to get that. And so it's creating this, again, this movement. There's this work that's coming through there, but there's opportunity that's coming through there too. So complex. I know that's, how that can be. So if this just works, just working with the sun and the moon right now, that's perfect. Just to give you just another quick little rundown here. Let's say this is someone who has a Libra rising. This could be just, we're working sun and moon. Maybe there's something that's going on. You're feeling like you want to do something more with yourself. You're wanting to accomplish something here. And maybe you're with that sun. It's like, okay, what relationships do I need to form? Who can help elevate me to that point there? Who do I feel intuitively that I think can guide this energy to myself? Or maybe you're thinking about, I want to take my relationships to the next level, my marriage, what about your marriage? Maybe you want to renew your vows, or maybe you want to, whatever this might look like for you. But that could be, maybe you're thinking about forming a business partnership. But those can be just some basic ways of working with that transit as well. Again, you just have to look to see where you have all of these all these placements at, and all these signs at, and that'll help you get a better idea of how to make this more kind of concrete. Yeah, so there's that for you. Now, I wanted to talk about the Sabian symbol of this lunation, which I know very well, because this is my sun sign lunation. So it's phase 106 of Cancer, and it talks about a man studying a mandala in front of him with the help of a very ancient book. And I just wanted to kind of pause here to show how these Sabian symbols can really manifest, because that's what I mean. I literally do. I study mandalas, like astrology, my life, this is the mandala of life, the astrology things. And I mean, part of it has been using ancient books, but I mean, I've been working with the Ching, so you talk about an ancient book there, so you can see how this stuff can literally manifest. But the keynote for this, and this is before I really was diving into the Sabian symbols, and then the keynote for this is a deep concern with problems raised by the process of personality integration. And so, when you are starting to get on that course where you're participating more in your life, you're taking more accountability for the things that you can manifest, for the things that you can control. And when you're studying and learn these things and getting some wisdom from what other people have done, from some things that you've made in the past, that does raise up some concerns. Because now that you're going through this process, when you see other people going through this thing, there is this urge to help, because you've been there, and you know how hard that can be to integrate that sometimes. So I think that there's, with this energy, the Sabian symbol, it's making sure that we're all trying to figure this out, and that everyone has different concerns, that they're thinking about with this energy. And so again, coming with that compassion, Cancer can be, and all the water signs have this capacity for great empathy. But when we're in a lot of Cancer and Pisces energy, and just a lot of water energy in general, I think we do need to be kind over this next few days, and always, but really just over these next couple of days while the moon's in Cancer, and really just kind of observe ourselves and just what kind of comes up there. This could be a great time to have some heartfelt conversations, to kind of like, hey, how are you moving through this thing, man? I've been feeling a lot and I'm not quite sure what to do with this thing. I've been thinking about these topics, and you never know, someone may be able to provide some advice, and then in that helps inspire them to do such and such. So this could be a great time when we're helping each other kind of deal with these more sort of complex things in life and these challenges, and how to make the most of them, and how you grow while still doing the sort of everyday things. These are things I think about all the time. So this is a very interesting, I think, a very potent pocket that you can think of them as walking through different portals. You're asking questions and seeing where they go, seeing where that energy leads you. So it's just trying not to get lost in all the noise and all of this thing. Just break the stuff down up as one. We're complex beings going through complex experiences. But well, let's talk about these complex experiences. Let's go ahead and move on over to your general energy of the day, because I think that's all I got for the lunar shenanigans. You have hexagram 56 here, which is the traveler. And as you can see here, this is a pretty, we got more changing lines than normal. We got about 3 changing lines here. So you wanted to check, if you're looking into this, you want to check line 3, 4, and 6. Those are going to be the oracles that we're going to be going over today. We're going to break, there's an interesting relation with all of these things here. So let's go ahead and get into this. Because when we're talking about line 3, line 3 speaks of the traveler's inn is burning. The servant is sent scurrying. Danger. Now, if there's something, with this hexagram, depending on your question, if there's something like a fire that you've been needing to deal with that you've been ignoring, this is the time to, don't let something get out of hand. I think first and foremost, this is not something that you want to, this traveler gives me someone, when you think of someone who's traveling, they may be visiting for leisure, but sometimes they may be running away from something. And so that's where I think there's this imagery here. There's something that's being neglected here, and there's something here that's maybe even got you kind of worried, maybe feeling kind of anxious, and the insides are sent scurrying, and you may be in this place of where you're just sending yourself into this deep spiral here, where we're about to just cycle out of control. So this might be something too where you may want to talk with someone about this, so they can help you get this fire in order, if that's something that makes it. When I was talking about that Libra rising, for example, that may be someone where you need to find someone who can help you get elevated out of this, if there are a lot of things that maybe come up for you over these next couple of days, or even going further along into that. So that's just on a baseline there. And I'm just even getting a message, and this is just like, I think this is just kind of like a common sense thing. Make sure that you are just checking, like not to be paranoid, but just make sure that you're checking any kind of burners, that we're not leaving any sort of fires unattended, making sure that things are just safe. I think that's a very, just a very helpful thing. If you're going to light an incense and maybe you're going to leave the room, maybe do it over the sink so that it can just fall, so that it can just fall right there. Just little things, making sure to maybe clean the stove if you have like an electric fish, so that it doesn't get like oil fires and things like that. I think that's just something to come up there too. Now let's talk about line 4, because this talks about the traveler builds his own quarters. The lost sum he recovers, but his heart is not glad. So this could be here with this one. This to me is that you're building yourself back up after a situation has happened. You've regained the important things. This may be a time where you need to look at perspective. Maybe you've actually lost something, like maybe like you misplaced something important, or whatever this might be. Maybe you had a relationship that fell out. Maybe you needed to move all of a sudden. Maybe you had a belief change, or whatever this is. And it's like you can recover from this, but there's something in here that's not settled. I think that there's something still that's weighing on the heart. And I think it's just allowing yourself that space to, the inn maybe, this metaphorical inn may be burned down. And this has been tough. This has been weighing on you for a while. But knowing that you can recover through this, I think that this is acknowledging too, when we're in this Cancer energy, that things happen in cycles. You know, that this may be a low point right now, but things are going to move up from here. That maybe this was one of those kind of like tower moments that was like an act of mercy. And it's like we may not see what that, that may not make sense until we get some distance from the current situation. You know what I mean? So this, and it's this, the fact that this is and I didn't mention this is fire over mountain here. So that even gives a sort of like volcanic sort of imagery where the fire's coming out of the mountain now. Things are oozing down, but that lava is going to cool and it's going to form new land and new fertile land as well there. Whatever the situation is that you may be coming with. So that's just another thing to think about. Now, the last thing here, this at line 6, speaks about a bird's nest is burning. The traveler first laughs, then weeps. He lost his oxen at he lost his oxen at the kingdom of Yi, disaster. And there's this story about this guy his name is Wang Hai, and he really had just like kind of a really kind of bad run-in with some luck. I think like he had a situation where someone tried to catch him on fire or try to burn his inn down, hence this imagery here. But he heard this like rapping on his bed, like something supernatural like woke him up, and then he was able to escape the place. But I think there's something here with that. You're seeing a bird's nest burning. The traveler laughs because it's a reminder that no one is immune to the problems in life. I actually know someone very close to me who actually had their stuff like burned down. Like, I mean, just completely. It was awful. What happened. The blessing that came from it was that they were able to start fresh. They were able to build the cabinets that they wanted to. They wanted to get this like granite countertop for like the for their kitchen, and so they had a chance to rebuild, and then they were able to welcome in some furry friends back into their new home and things. So it's there are moments where you're gonna look at life and it's just like, man, and it's like it takes you back. You may not, and you may actually find maybe this is some weeping that's coming on there, but I think that it is. Again, we all go through, like, I'd like to talk about when I'm doing like my other video on the transits. We go through 6th house things, through 12th house things. These things just kind of happen. They look differently for everyone, but we all rise above after that stuff there. So this may just be one of those chapters where we're maybe kind of traveling through those tougher times there, but you'll be able to, and everything seems like a disaster that is gone afoot, but know that you'll be able to, this is a fresh start, and then sometimes that can be, it looks, again, it may not be an ideal how it came up there, I definitely acknowledge that, but I think that this is a time to seek help if you need this sort of thing, because there's a lot of just like kind of burning energy, sort of like a purification through fire. This is what this is kind of giving here. This is some sort of release, maybe some, whatever this might look like. And we'll get some more actually with the tarot here, but because I think that's all I got for your general energy. But let's go ahead and get into that. And we're going to, considering so I'm going to pull 6 cards. Let's try that again. I'm going to pull 6 cards, and they're all going to cover different themes. And we're going to get clarifiers for the ones that you got changing lines for. So we'll get a clarifier for card 3, card 4, and card 6. So let's go ahead and get into your first card here, which is going to deal with any sort of like short-term money matters. But keep in mind, this isn't financial advice or anything along those lines. So let's get into this thing. So you got the 10 of Wands here. Maybe if there has been some tough times that's going on, maybe you've been feeling really burdened by this. Maybe the energy's been feeling really oppressive, especially maybe in the money. Maybe maybe there's something where you had to shell out for an emergency type thing. Maybe there's some sort of like natural disaster, maybe something that happened, and now we're just really feeling a lot of this pressure right now. Not quite sure what to do, how to kind of get ourselves grounded again. But I think that this is the energy here is finding ways, I think, to so if you've been dealing with the things that you're a lot of like out of control things, it's let's channel our energy into the things that you can control. And I know that may sound kind of like a facile sort of thing to say, but I think that it's when you allow your mind to take away, because it's like, listen, the situation is done. If things, it's like I've just got a picture of like a cup breaking. Once that breaks, there's glass all over the place, and that cup is gone. But now it's like, okay, what can I do? Well, let's just clean up the mess. I can sit here and be angry about the liquid that spilled or whatever, all these things that maybe, and then in that anger, I find if we're reactive in this, then that leads to just more sort of like spontaneous things, because Mars is in the mix, when we're talking about this. And there may be some long-term implications that happen, because Mars and Saturn just got done having a conversation here. So I would just be mindful about kind of taking a minute and breathing, allowing yourself some space to just kind of cool your head for a little bit. I know where a disaster may be going on, but you can't tackle that disaster if the servants are scurrying about. If you, and that metaphor is just if you're feeling frazzled and if you're feeling all over the place and not sure, we can't tackle the fire. You know what I mean? So make sure to take that time to just get yourself back, get the energies back in order, is what I'm getting with that Ten of Wands there. And it's going to probably it's going to ask a lot of you. It's going to be something where you may need to push past what you're comfortable doing, but it's not something that, it's doable, is what I really feel with this. Because they talked about in one of these that you recover, the lost sums. But let's go ahead and then. Oh, and I just got this thought about that. If this is talking about maybe there was some sort of financial things, there may be something where you have to, again, spend a lot more energy than is necessary. Maybe you talk to someone, you need to get a supervisor who needs to get their manager, who needs to get their manager. But, get that so you can get these things resolved. But let's get into your next card here, which talks about any sort of like medical matters. But this isn't medical advice or anything along those lines. All right, let's see what's going on there. Oh, okay. So you have the Nine of Swords here. And I'd watch that. The Nine of Swords is, look at this owl. Owl is stressing out. There's a lot of anxiety with the Nine of Swords there. This is really feeling trapped. So now you got this pressure that you're feeling with the with the Ten of Wands, and it's really weighing down on the mental. And now they're kind of feeding into each other. We want to get better, but it's hard to, this is a perfect little cocktail for a spiral. And so I would check that. If you find yourself getting in your head, finding ways to bring yourself some calm, whether that is going for a walk, that's writing, that look at this owl, writing, well, it's reading, but maybe you need to write some stuff down. Maybe you've just been feeling up. And even I'm just thinking about how this owl is looking at things. Maybe if you've been noticing a certain type of thing that's been coming up for you, you've been stressing out, maybe a little less like, I'm thinking like maybe Google searching as far as like looking at WebMD for some things, for example, and just actually going to get like a checkup if that's something that's resonating with you. You could be making something a lot bigger. A mole may just actually be a mole. So that's just something I think to just kind of pay attention to there as well. And as far as just like creating those sort of, because the Nine of Swords can easily build this sort of self-fulfilling prophecy. You can just kind of engage in something and then it's just fueling it and it just becomes a whole mess. And it becomes heavy with this Ten of Wands here. You got a lot of malefic energy out right now. The Ten of Wands is Saturn and Sag. The Nine of Swords, that's Mars and Gemini. So just something to pay attention to on that. Now let's get to your third card here, which talks about any sort of legal matters or social affairs, but this isn't legal advice or anything along those lines. Well, yeah, let's see what's going on. See what's going on there. So you got the Three of Coins here. I definitely got a maybe a kind of working together type of energy here. Maybe there was something where you had like maybe it wasn't a fire, but maybe something like a flooding, or maybe something with an appliance or a thing kind of fell through there. You're really feeling the burdens of some of the strain on some of the things that you're needing to get done. So this could be, again, just looking into maybe if you can't, maybe if you're feeling the pressure about, like, let's say like a fridge broke, for example, you don't got the money to shell that out right now, but you need a fridge, then maybe this could be, maybe you can find someone who knows someone who can maybe do it for, find a guy. My parents had a guy. He had a guy. It was a guy that my stepdad actually worked with, but that guy was very handy. He can fix anything. I mean, he'd fix it and hook us up with like whatever. But that's one thing that I'm I'm getting there. I also think that with all of this work that maybe is getting done, just making sure that you are allowing yourself to get out there a little bit. I even think too, when it comes to kind of legal matters, this can be where maybe you're thinking about, if you run a business, for example, maybe you've been feeling overburdened and you need someone to take some of this weight off so you can deal with some of this stress here. That might be something too. There's a collaborative thing that's going on. Maybe you need a business partner. Maybe you thought you can take this thing on, but again, it's just like it's becoming maybe a little too much to bear here right now. So that might be something to consider. But we're definitely, there's a lot of work that's being put in right now. Lots being asked of you, I think, in this three of coins here. But this is that chance when we're talking about the sun being exalted. This is an exalted card here. This is Mars in Capricorn here, but still another malefic energy, but at least a malefic that's working constructively. But let's get a clarifier with this three of coins here. Ooh, look at this. I'm with it. So you got the Chariot here, Cancer energy. How appropriate. I think that, we're not maybe sure how we're going to move forward on something, but I do think that, and maybe you've been stressing out about something. Maybe you've been needing to have again, this could be maybe some sort of court, any sort of legal stuff can be annoying. Maybe this is dealing with like some sort of insurance battle that's going on there. Maybe we did have like a house thing, or maybe it's like a car thing, whatever thing that this is. I think that there may be there may be some bumps on the road with this journey here, but I think that this energy is definitely about moving forward. This is getting a victory, even when it comes to legal matters. It may be some hard work here, but if you mind your P's and Q's, and finding ways to deal with this stress. Why do you stress about, again, the things that you can't control? Just focus on take the reign on the things that you can. And maybe even too, this Chariot may need a co-pilot. That might be something too there that I'm kind of picking up with this energy as well here. So that's just something to consider. Now let's talk about this next card is going to deal with any sort of like romantic matters or marriage, things along those lines. So let's see what's going on there. So you got the Seven of Swords here. And this, to me, it's like maybe you have a lot personally that's going on there, and you're trying to deal with this thing while also trying to show up in your relationships too. And I'm not sure if that's working or not. And that may be something that you definitely may need to ask yourself in this. And because I think that it's, if you've been, especially, I'm just getting, if you're like keeping something, don't let a fire get out of control here. You may need to come clean about a situation. Maybe you made a mistake. Maybe we overinvested somewhere. Maybe whatever happened, you're trying to figure out how you're going to do this thing. And I'm not, again, apply it to your situation. But I think that there's a realizing, like, okay, once we talk about this thing, okay, it's been aired out. It's not weighing us down anymore. So now we can just focus on what we're going to do to move forward on this. Because the Seven of Swords, I think that this is something where you can find different alternatives, find different means of doing things. It's an engine, being ingenuitive. That's the word I'm looking for. I'm not sure if that's a word, but getting crafty, getting clever, being innovative. Is what I'm kind of getting there. Thinking outside of a box with the situation here, but. And this might be something where you may not want to. It's like you don't maybe want to get your partner involved, but this may be something where you talk about it. You're not happy about it, but it's like all we can do is just go forward from here. It is what it is, but let's get a clarifier for that Seven of Swords. Oh, wow. Whoa. All right. So here's the moon. You got the high priestess. There is something here with that. I think that don't let something sit. I think there's, even if this is not something that you're dealing, or that it's your thing, then maybe you're sensing like a fire going around, like someone's been off. Maybe someone that you're working with, maybe someone's working real hard to seem like things moving along there, but and that's something to look into. But that's interesting that, again, you got both the moon, the priestess, and Cancer here, the chariot. So this is a very intuitive time right now. This is not a time I would be ignoring any sort of signals on things. This is a time. I also think that it's not a time to really keep any secret. If you sense something, then think about a way to approach it. Just like, let's say, for example, if this is a relationship sort of thing, where it's just like, let's say we're not, instead of accusing of someone of something, just be like, hey, I've been sensing this thing, and I've been feeling a lot. I've been going through these things. Is there something going on that we need to talk about, that we need to discuss, and just kind of see what happens, see what the body language is, read the room. Cancer can sense when something's out there. If someone doesn't want to say anything, that's up to them. But, I think that if there's something pressing that's needing to be had there, like, trust that. I'm not, like, that's an interesting one that's coming through. I'm not quite sure. Again, apply that to your situation there, but yeah, something's amiss here. I'm even getting brought to. This reminds me of sort of like eighth house themes of just like sharing resources, and just being mindful too, just where maybe your resources are going possibly here. Not to say you can't recover it back, but yeah, there's just something I think to think about. This is just an intuitive message that's just kind of coming in there. So take that if that resonates. But let's get to your fifth card, which talks about any sort of immediately pressing affairs. Let's see what's going on there. Interesting. So you got the Hanged Man here. And the Hanged Man is giving me this needing to, of course, to view things from a different perspective. And I think that because it seems like there's something that's taking a lot of your time here. That maybe you're feeling trapped by something. There's a ship that's burning, possibly. And again, we're talking metaphorically here. There's something that's off. And we may be fearing like that. And this might be the realization that, what, I've been ignoring this thing. But I mean, again, whatever this thing is, this is like because the Hanged Man is elemental water, and there's this, this feeling here about, how maybe something that's been going is changing, and again, I'm not quite sure, or like in this, like this energy, it's like I'm not being sure of where it's going from here, but just really just been experiencing just the loss aspect of it. Yeah, this really feels kind of like this energy feels really complex. What's going on here, and I mean, it's no surprise with where the transits are at. So again, allow yourself some time to just to emotionally regulate, to see a situation from a certain perspective, to trust that everything is going. That you'll be able to figure a way out to how to move through something here with that High Priestess to the Seven of Swords, but it's going to take some work with that Chariot to the Three of Coins. So yeah, that's just something I think to keep in mind there. But let's go ahead and get into the last card, which is the destiny or the karma of the outcome of the situation. Interesting. So you got the King of Cups here. And the King of Cups is one, like, this is exactly what is needed right now for this energy. Emotional wisdom. Because I think that the King of Cups, sometimes he can get, especially when he feels lost in things, he can get into some sort of like escapist tendencies and ignore things just because that they're too hard sometimes, only feeling moved when the emotions move him, but then when he's not, just like you can't get him to do anything. I remember there's a thing talking about the King of Cups writes his name on water. That's like his it's just a very fluid energy that comes with the King of Cups, and I think that there's an energetically he's the fiery part of water, and I think that really is paying attention to how the emotions can move us. I think that's something really important to pay attention to, and to get eyes again on what's burning, what's boiling. With all this fire imagery, what's boiling right now, and this understanding too that this is not just you. You're not crazy in this, you're not feeling any sort of like this is everyone's going through this in some sort of degree. you know and once you get in the flow of these things, it can feel a lot less tumultuous. You can feel like how the King of Cups he's towards the bottom of the ocean, and there's a lot of activity there, but it's not as, I think, and I mean, who knows, but the King of Cups is submerged in this thing, but he's at the root of the emotions, which is Cancer, the cardinal water sign. So I think there's something there with that, really understanding what you're moving through at this time. If there's some sort of, yeah, but let's see, let's get a clarifier on that. And this could be, again, maybe seeking some counsel, possibly with this King of Cups. Oh, absolutely. So you got the Empress here. And so with this Empress, this could be feeling, where it's like, how do you find, because I mean, we just got done talking about things burning to the ground, and it's just like, how do you feel abundant in that? How do you hold that space for something new to come in, to replace whatever may have been what we're viewing as a loss? You know what I mean? And I think that there's, between the Seven of Swords and the Hanged Man, it's like seeing a truth for something, but it's like right now we're just maybe way down in the experience of this thing and not really being receptive to what grander things are happening, because there's something that's pulling, something higher that's pulling this thing along here. I'm just getting with just kind of how these majors are kind of clarifying here. But I think there is a need to know that you are protected in this. What I'm getting with the Empress, there's a nurturing energy with her. Nurture yourself in this period of time. Take care, and and know that things can grow again. The Empress can grow anywhere, anything. she just, just got to get the lay of the land, figure out what's going on, where's the fertile earth at, and all this after the fire has settled. So, and that's just something to think about there. But let's get some advice from the moon. All right, so you have the Seven of Coins here, and let's go ahead and switch over. The Seven of Coins. There's a patient aspect that comes with this one. There's a lot that it seems like there's a lot that's going on, and right now I think this is just like we just need to. It's interesting when I think about the hexagrams. It's like all of that yang energy is the changing lines are changing all into yin energy, which is more receptive, and that's what I think is needed right now, because that hexagram would change into earth, just straight up earth. And so there's a need to, and maybe that might be something too, maybe you need to get in touch with the earth right now, kind of just take a moment and put your head up against a tree to appreciate the growth of the cycles here. And this maybe just be kind of evaluating a situation too, where it's like, where yeah, that may have kind of blew up in a way I didn't expect, but that may actually have been for my betterment. Like that's really, and just seeing things from a different perspective. But again, it may take time. I think with this Seven of Coins here, so just be patient with yourself in this, or be patient maybe with another person while they might be figuring this thing out here. So however that may be resonating for you there, but. Yeah, I think that's all I got for you there. Yeah, very kind of complex reading that was going on here. Very, yeah. So something to think about. But if you like that, if anything resonated with you, give it a thumbs up and share this if you know somebody who can get some nuggets of wisdom from this. And subscribe to you, Empress. Hit that bell button to get notified on all these videos each day. And I will pull for your surprise cards here. But if you want to see what's going on with the other celestial bodies, Venus and the rest of them, Mars, in the description box there's a link for my other channel, Alchemist 8, where I do release videos every Mercury day talking about the different transits, what signs they're in, and how to work with them. What are some things to just generally look for, and how to set intentions in the path to kind of walk through these energies so that things just don't feel like they're happening to you, that they're happening for you. And then I'm doing this series where I talk about different planets and different signs and different houses, and it's just to get you thinking about your natal placements just in a different sort of way. That's my intention with offering this, just hopefully give you just some new nuggets there, and share some things that how you've experienced that energy as well. I definitely welcome that there too. I love the discourse there. But let's go ahead and get into your surprise card here. Interesting. Very interesting. You got the smell card here. So again, with all that fire imagery, if you smell something's burning, if that something is needing to be dealt with, don't ignore these senses. And you may need to there's something with that high priestess, there's something more subtle that's needing to be tuned into, that you may need to call on a sense that, we're so used to like looking at things or thinking about us, like dipping into some other senses. Really listen to what maybe people are saying, like observing like the fluctuations in their tone, the word choice. Yeah, just like more tuning in, just being more sensitive to the energy, putting a different sort of feeler out there is what I'm really getting with this smell here, because something does smell off. I can't quite put my finger on that, what that is, but and so just like, don't ignore whatever that is. Don't ignore that. I also think too, maybe just like if you are in a very kind of frantic state right now, just think how you got the Empress. working with maybe different smells, aromatherapies, essential oils that could be, or even just like taking some. I love when I like cooking and working with like I'll put a bunch of rosemary and stuff in different seasonings to get the house smelling all savory. So that might be something to maybe boil some sage, boil some rosemary, something to just to kind of calm the energies. Maybe you happen to got some lavender lying around, whatever. Put a couple drops on your collar, your shirt, so you can get some whiffs or something like that. Again, maybe like incense. I got incense burning here, patchouli. It's lovely. Whatever that might be looking like for you. So something to kind of clear. And maybe that's what this needs to. When I talk about that sort of like baptism by fire, this clarification here, maybe there's a maybe need to kind of clear the space, maybe doing some smudging, possibly get like a smudge stick and just kind of cleansing the energy, like a white sage or something like that, or maybe even like a Palo Santo, and just kind of something to just kind of freshen up the energies if things have been kind of stale there. But yeah, I think that's all I got for you. So until next time, stay mindful out there. Keep raising that vibration through the roof. And keep eyes on that moon. Absolutely. And I will catch you on the next one. Saturn Day.